peace isn't a far-off dream, but something you can cultivate right now by focusing on yourself and embracing the power of silence. Today, we're diving into a life-changing truth that will free you from the exhausting need for validation, showing you how to build a life of purpose, one silent, powerful step at a time. Have you ever poured your heart into something, working late nights, sacrificing your time, giving it your all, only to realize that the people you hoped would cheer for you didn't even notice? It's a trap so many of us fall into, the desperate need for validation. We crave for others to see our progress, to acknowledge our hard work, to approve of the choices we make. But here's the painful reality. The moment you start depending on outside approval, you hand over your power. You let others dictate how you feel about yourself. And that's a dangerous way to live, because the same people who clap for you today might turn their backs tomorrow. If your confidence is built on their applause, what happens when the clapping stops? The most transformative thing you can do is shift your focus inward, not in a selfish way, but in a way that makes you better every single day. When you make yourself the priority, you stop worrying about what everyone else is doing. You stop chasing after people who don't appreciate your work. You stop wasting energy explaining yourself to those who are determined to misunderstand you. Instead, you channel all that energy inward, where it truly makes a difference, where it fuels your growth, your peace, your purpose. It's like tending to a garden within your soul, nurturing it with care, pulling out the weeds of doubt, and watching it bloom into something beautiful. It's so easy to get caught up in what other people think. Perhaps you have big dreams burning in your heart, a vision of a better life, a new career, a deeper connection with God, but you're hesitant to take that first step because you're afraid of how others will react. Maybe you're working hard to improve yourself, to grow spiritually, emotionally, or professionally, but every time you make progress, someone comes along with a negative comment, dimming your light. Let me share a simple truth with you. People will always have opinions. They'll always have something to say, but their opinions don't pay your bills. They don't put food on your table, and they certainly don't define your worth. The moment you start prioritizing your growth over their validation, you become unstoppable. You stop looking around, wondering if people notice your progress. You stop feeling the need to announce every move you make just to prove you're doing something. You stop living for the approval of those who wouldn't even notice if you disappeared. Instead, you cultivate a quiet discipline, like a steady river carving its path through stone. You wake up each morning and put in the work, not because someone is watching, but because you know it's necessary for your growth. There's a profound power in moving in silence. When you focus on yourself, you don't need to broadcast every goal, every plan, every success. You simply keep working, keep growing, and before you know it, the results speak for themselves. The people who doubted you, they'll see it. The ones who didn't believe in you, they'll notice. But by then, their opinions won't matter anymore, because you didn't do it for them. You did it for yourself. And here's the beautiful part. When you truly focus on yourself, you develop a level of peace that no one can shake. It's a peace that anchors you, like a lighthouse standing firm amidst a stormy sea. You're no longer swayed by other people's judgments. You don't feel the need to explain yourself. to engage in endless arguments trying to prove your worth. You simply exist in your own power, knowing that your value doesn't diminish just because someone fails to see it. So I ask you today, are you living for them? Or are you living for you? Are you making choices based on what you truly want? Or are you adjusting yourself to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be? At the end of the day, you're the one who has to live with your decisions. You're the one who has to look in the mirror and feel proud of the person staring back, not anyone else. It's time to stop seeking permission to be brave. Stop waiting for someone to recognize your potential before you take action. Stop expecting people to clap for you before you decide to believe in yourself. If you want to grow, grow. If you want to change your life, change it. Don't waste another moment waiting for someone else to validate your dreams. You are enough, and the only approval you'll ever truly need is your own. Silence is one of the most underrated strengths a person can have. In a world where everyone feels the need to be heard, where people announce every thought, every move, every opinion, silence has become rare, almost like a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. We live in a time where people believe that if they don't talk about what they're doing, it must not be happening. But real power doesn't come from talking, it comes from doing. It comes from knowing when to speak, and more importantly, when to stay quiet. There's something about silence that makes people uncomfortable. They mistake it for weakness, for insecurity, for a lack of confidence. But nothing could be further from the truth. Silence is a strategy. Silence is discipline. Silence is knowing that not everything needs to be shared. That not every move needs an announcement. That not every opinion deserves a response. It's like a chess master, carefully planning their moves without revealing their strategy. When you learn to control your words, you gain control over your life. The problem is, people are drawn to noise. They crave drama, attention, the spotlight, and so many fall into the trap of thinking they need to explain themselves to everyone, prove their worth to people who don't even matter, or respond to every piece of negativity that comes their way. But here's the truth. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. The people who truly matter will see your progress without you having to say a word. And the ones who don't, they were never really paying attention anyway. Think about the most successful people in the world. They don't spend their time arguing online, wasting energy proving themselves to those who are determined to misunderstand them. They don't announce every step they take. Why? Because they know that real success is built in silence. It's built in those quiet moments when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one even knows what's happening. That's where real growth takes root, in the stillness, in the unseen, in the disciplined moments when you show up for yourself. Day after day, imagine a seed buried deep in the soil, hidden from view. No one sees the work it's doing, the roots it's growing, the strength it's building. But one day, it breaks through the surface, blooming into a mighty tree that cannot be ignored. That's what happens when you work in silence. Some of you are letting the need for validation slow you down. You want people to see what you're doing, to acknowledge your effort, and when they don't, you start to doubt yourself. But their approval is not required for you to succeed. You don't need to broadcast your every move to prove you're making progress. The work will speak for itself when the time is right. Some things in life should be protected, your plans. your growth, your dreams. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, your emotions, your next move. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is keep things to yourself, like a precious gem hidden in a safe. Because the moment you start telling everyone what you're working on, you invite opinions, doubts, negativity, and distractions. And some of those voices will plant seeds of doubt in your mind before you even get started. Have you ever noticed that the people who talk the most often accomplish the least? They spend all their energy trying to convince others of their potential, instead of actually doing the work. But when you move in silence, when you focus on execution instead of explanation, you free yourself from that trap. You stop worrying about who believes in you. You stop looking for applause. You simply do the work. And when you do that consistently, the results become so undeniable that you won't have to say a thing. When you master the art of silence, you become unpredictable, like a quiet storm brewing on the horizon. People don't know what you're up to. They can't interfere with your plans. They can't sabotage what they don't see coming. And that gives you an advantage. While they're busy talking, you're busy building. While they're distracted by noise, you're making progress in peace. Silence doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're afraid. It means you understand that words don't create success, action does. It means you know that not every battle is worth fighting. That not every opinion deserves a response. That not every move needs an announcement. It means you trust yourself enough to believe that what's meant for you will come. Whether people see it coming or not, it's a quiet confidence, a steady faith, a deep knowing that you're on the right path, even if no one else can see it yet. One of the biggest traps in life is comparison. It sneaks up on you when you least expect it, like a thief in the night. You might be feeling good about yourself, proud of the steps you've taken, the progress you've made, but then you see someone else, someone who seems to be doing better, moving faster, achieving more. Suddenly, your confidence cracks, like a glass dropped on the floor. You start questioning yourself, wondering if you're behind, if you're not good enough, if you should be doing more. Comparison is a distraction, and if you let it will rob you of your focus, your energy, your joy. The truth is, no two people have the same journey. You weren't meant to follow someone else's timeline. You weren't meant to have the same successes, the same struggles, or the same breakthroughs as the person next to you. Yet so many people waste time measuring themselves against others. Instead of focusing on their own path, they look at someone else's success and start feeling like they're failing. They see what someone else has, and suddenly, what they have doesn't feel like enough. It's like staring at a neighbor's garden, envying their flowers, while neglecting your own. But the problem isn't that you're lacking, it's that you're looking in the wrong direction. When you spend your time comparing yourself to others, you take your eyes off your own progress. You stop seeing how far you've come, because you're too busy watching someone else's highlight reel. Let's be honest, people only show you what they want you to see. On social media, it's even worse. You're not seeing the late nights, the failures, the doubts, the moments of struggle. You're seeing the polished version, the best moments, the finished product, the carefully curated image. If you compare your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel, you'll always feel like you're not enough. That's why you have to discipline your mind to stay focused on your own path. Like a horse with blinders, undeterred by the distractions around you. It doesn't matter what someone else is doing. It doesn't matter how fast they're moving or how successful they seem. What matters is that you're growing, that you're improving, that you're becoming better than you were yesterday. Because at the end of the day, the only person you should be competing with is yourself. Some of you are holding yourselves back because you're too focused on the wrong things. You're looking around, checking to see who's ahead, who's behind, who's watching, but none of that matters. What someone else is doing has nothing to do with your journey. Your path is yours alone, a unique road carved out just for you. And the moment you start truly focusing on yourself, everything changes. You stop feeling the pressure to prove something. You stop chasing things just because other people have them. You stop living by someone else's definition of success, and you start creating your own. Like an artist painting a masterpiece that reflects your true colors. But that takes discipline. It takes being intentional about where you place your energy. It takes reminding yourself that just because someone else is winning doesn't mean you're losing. Life is not a race. There is no deadline for success. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. Like a flower blooming in its own season. Think about runners in a race. The moment they start looking to the side to see where their competitors are, they slow down. Their form breaks. Their momentum shifts. They lose focus. Why? Because they stopped running their race and started worrying about someone else's. That's exactly what happens when you let comparison take over. You slow down. You lose momentum. You start making decisions based on what other people are doing, instead of what's right for you. But when you stay in your lane, when you keep your eyes forward and your mind focused, you move differently. You stop letting outside distractions dictate your pace. You start trusting that what's meant for you will come in its own time. You start understanding that success isn't about being first. It's about being consistent. Like a steady drumbeat that keeps going, no matter the rhythm of the world around you. So today, make a decision. Decide to stop looking around and start looking within. Stop measuring yourself against others, and start measuring yourself against who you were yesterday. Because the only competition that truly matters is the one between you and your own potential. If you can wake up every day and say, I'm better than I was yesterday, then you are already winning. Energy is one of the most valuable things you have. Yet too many people waste it on things that don't matter. They waste it on arguments that lead nowhere, like shouting into the wind. They waste it on proving themselves to people who don't care, on holding on to things that should have been let go long ago. But when you start to understand just how precious your energy is, you begin to protect it, like a shepherd guarding their flock. You stop giving it away so easily. You become intentional about where it goes, who gets access to it, and what you allow to take up space in your mind. Not everything deserves your attention. Not every comment needs a response. Not every situation requires your involvement. Some of you are exhausted, not because you're working hard on your goals, but because you're spending too much time dealing with things that don't serve you. You let small distractions pull you away from what truly matters, like a ship drifting off course in a storm. You let negativity enter your space when it should have been ignored. You engage in conversations that drain you instead of uplift you, and then you wonder why you feel stuck. Why you feel like you're running in circles? It's not that you're incapable. It's that you're spending your energy in all the wrong places. The truth is, not everyone deserves access to you. Just because someone demands your time doesn't mean you have to give it. Just because someone questions your choices doesn't mean you have to explain yourself. You don't owe the world an explanation for how you choose to live your life. Some things are meant to be handled in silence, like a sacred prayer spoken only in your heart. Some battles aren't worth fighting. Some people are only there to distract you, to test you, to pull you off course. If you're not careful, you'll find yourself spending more time dealing with them than building yourself. There's a difference between being busy and being productive. Some people spend their entire lives being busy, but they never move forward. They're always caught up in something, always involved in drama, always reacting to every little thing that comes their way. But at the end of the day, they have nothing to show for it. No progress, no peace, no real growth. That's because they never learned how to protect their energy. They let too many things drain them, like a bucket with holes, losing water faster than it can be filled. And by the time they get around to their own goals, they have nothing left to give. But when you start being selective, when you start choosing where your energy goes, everything changes. You stop entertaining meaningless distractions. You stop allowing people to pull you into their chaos. You stop explaining yourself to those who were never really listening in the first place. You start moving differently, with a clarity and purpose that others can't share. You start protecting your space, like a fortress guarding its treasures. And most importantly, you start making real progress, steady and unshakable. People will always have opinions. They'll always have something to say about what you're doing, how you're doing it, whether they think you'll succeed. But their opinions don't determine your reality. Their words don't dictate your future. The moment you realize that, you free yourself, like a bird breaking free from its cage. You stop wasting time trying to change their minds. You stop trying to convince people to see your worth. You stop handing over your energy to things that don't build you. Instead, you redirect the energy where it belongs, on yourself, on your growth, on the things that actually move you forward. You start putting your time into your goals, your peace, your progress. You stop reacting to every little thing and start responding only to the things that truly matter. You develop a level of discipline that allows you to stay focused, no matter what's happening around you, like a lighthouse standing firm in the midst of a storm. And when you start moving like that, people will notice. They may not understand it at first. They may wonder why you stopped engaging in nonsense, why you no longer explain yourself, why you don't react the way you used to. But eventually, they'll see it. They'll see the growth, the peace, the results that come when you stop wasting your energy and start using it wisely. So from this moment forward, guard your energy like your life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. Be intentional, be selective, and most of all, be focused. Because when you learn to protect your energy, nothing and no one can stop you from becoming exactly who you were meant to be. A person of purpose, strength, and unshakable peace. A lot of people want success, but not everyone is willing to stay consistent. They get excited about a new goal, a new plan, a new vision for their life. Like a child on Christmas morning, eyes wide with possibility. But when the excitement fades, so does their effort. They start strong, but the moment things get difficult, the moment progress doesn't happen as fast as they want, they slow down. They start looking for shortcuts, for quick results, for an easier way. But real success doesn't come from doing something once in a while. It comes from showing up every single day, even when no one is watching, even when no one is clapping, even when it feels like nothing is happening. The people who truly succeed in life aren't the ones who talk the most. They aren't the ones who make the biggest announcements, who tell everyone what they're going to do. They're the ones who work in silence, who commit to the process even when it's hard, who show up for themselves day in and day out, without needing outside validation. They understand that consistency is the secret, like the steady drip of water that eventually carves a canyon through stone. It's not about big moves, it's about small, disciplined actions, repeated over time. Too many people want results without the discipline. They want success without the sacrifice. They want to skip the hard part and jump straight to the reward. Like a child wanting dessert without eating their vegetables. But when it doesn't happen fast enough, they start making excuses. They blame circumstances, other people, anything but themselves. But success doesn't work like that. You don't get to skip the process. You don't get to avoid the work. You either stay consistent or you stay in the same place, trapped in a cycle of unfulfilled dreams. Think about it. How many times have you seen someone start something full of motivation, only to quit a few weeks later? How many times have you committed to something, only to let it fade when life got in the way? That's the difference between those who make it and those who don't. The ones who make it don't rely on motivation, because motivation comes and goes like the tides. They rely on discipline, on habits, on the understanding that success is built in the moments when you don't feel like showing up, but you do it anyway. Some of you are sitting on dreams that could change your life. Dreams of starting a business, writing a book, growing closer to God, becoming the best version of yourself. But you're waiting for the right time, the right mood, the right circumstances. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, next week, next year, but deep down, you know the truth. There is no perfect time, no perfect moment. The only thing that matters is what you do right now. If you're not willing to stay consistent in the present, you'll never see the future you want. You have to move in silence, like a river flowing steadily toward the sea, undisturbed by the noise around it. Stop announcing every plan, every goal, every step you're going to take. Stop looking for validation before you even begin. Just do the work. When you talk too much, you give people the opportunity to plant down in your mind. You open the door for distractions. You start seeking approval instead of focusing on execution. But when you move in silence, when you stay locked in on your goals, no one can interfere with your progress. It's like building a house brick by brick, in the quiet of the early morning, while the world is still asleep. People will notice your results before they notice your effort. That's just how the world works. They won't see the late nights, the early mornings, the sacrifices you made. They won't see the days you wanted to quit but kept going anyway. The moments you pushed through exhaustion, doubt, and fear. But one day, when the results start showing, when your consistency starts paying off, they'll wonder how you did it. They'll they'll think it happened overnight, like a sudden sunrise after a long, dark night. They won't realize it was the work you put in when no one was watching that made all the difference. That's why you have to stay consistent, even when it feels like no one cares, even when it feels like no one sees you. The process will always test you before it rewards you. It will ask you how badly you really want it. It will push you to keep going when it would be easier to quit. If you can stay consistent through the hard days, through the days when nothing seems to be working, through the moments of doubt, then success is inevitable. So whatever you're working on, whatever goal, whatever dream, stay consistent. Keep moving in silence. Keep showing up, even when it's hard. Because one day, the work you're putting in right now will speak so loudly that you won't have to say a single word. Most people don't realize how much noise surrounds them every single day. Noise from opinions, distractions, doubts, unnecessary conversations. It's like a constant buzzing in your ears, pulling you away from your focus. If you're not careful, that noise will drown out your own voice. It will pull you in 100 different directions until you forget why you even started. That's why, at some point, you have to shut it all out. You have to make the decision to block out the distractions, to separate yourself from the things and people that do nothing but slow you down. Because if you don't, you'll spend your entire life reacting instead of creating, listening instead of leading, following instead of building. The truth is, not everyone is meant to understand your journey. Not everyone will support what you're doing. Some people won't believe in you. Some will doubt you. Some will even try to discourage you, not because they know what's best for you, but because they don't have the courage to do what you're doing. When they see you growing, when they see you breaking free from the limits they've accepted for themselves, it makes them uncomfortable. It forces them to question their own choices, like a mirror reflecting their fears. And instead of rising higher, they try to bring you down to their level. But that is not your concern. You do not owe anyone an explanation for your growth. You do not need permission to become who you were meant to be. Like a tree that doesn't ask the forest if it can grow tall. Some of you are carrying the weight of other people's expectations, doubts, fears, and it's slowing you down. You're hesitating, second-guessing, overthinking, because you're too worried about what people will say. But what they think does not matter. They are not the ones who will have to live with the consequences of your choices. You are. If you spend your life trying to make everyone else comfortable, you'll never fully step into your own potential. That's why you have to learn to move in silence, to keep your vision protected, to stop allowing outside voices to control your direction. Because when you start to elevate, distractions will increase, like weeds trying to choke a young plant. The more you grow, the more people will have opinions about what you should or shouldn't be doing. If you give them too much attention, you'll start adjusting your actions to fit their expectations, instead of your own purpose. But the people who truly succeed in life, the ones who reach their full potential, they understand something most people don't. They understand that silence is power. That discipline is stronger than approval. That true focus comes from shutting out the unnecessary. They know that their success does not depend on being understood by everyone. And so they keep moving forward, even when no one else sees the vision. It's like a sculptor chiseling away at a block of marble, unseen by the world, until the masterpiece is revealed. Some of you have dreams so big that they scare you. Dreams that feel like mountains too tall to climb. And because they scare you, you look for reassurance. You want someone to tell you that you're on the right track, to confirm that you're making the right choices. But let me ask you this. If the people around you can't see what you see, if they don't believe what you believe, what happens when that confirmation never comes? Do you stop? Do you shrink your vision to fit their small perspective? Or do you keep going? Even if no one else understands? You cannot afford to wait for validation. You cannot afford to slow down just because the people around you don't get it yet. You have to be willing to move forward, even in silence, even in uncertainty, even when no one else believes. Because belief starts with you, like a spark that ignites a wildfire. No one will take you seriously until you take yourself seriously. No one will trust your vision until you trust it first. The more you rely on external validation, the weaker your foundation becomes, like a house built on sand instead of stone. That's why it's so important to be intentional about what you listen to. If you surround yourself with people who doubt, who hesitate, who always see the worst case scenario, that mindset will rub off on you, like a stain that won't wash out. But if you surround yourself with discipline, with focus, with the kind of silence that builds, you'll move differently. You'll carry yourself with a quiet confidence that doesn't need to be explained. A confidence that shines like a beacon in the darkness. At the end of the day, your life is your responsibility, your success, your growth, your peace. It all depends on the choices you make. And one of the most powerful choices you can make is to shut out the distractions. To stop seeking approval. To move with purpose. Because when you do that, nothing and no one can stop you. Your journey is yours alone. The distractions, the opinions, the comparisons, none of it truly matters. What matters is your focus, your discipline, your ability to move forward, even when no one else understands. The world is full of noise, but the ones who rise above it are those who learn to stay silent, to protect their energy, to work in the shadows until their success speaks for itself. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need validation to be great. What you need is consistency, resilience, and the courage to stay committed when the results aren't immediate. So stop looking around. Stop explaining yourself. Stop waiting for approval. Focus on yourself. Move in silence. Because when you do, your growth will be undeniable. And one day, the world won't be able to ignore the person you've become. A person of purpose, power, and unshakable peace.